Hello everyone, Mr. BG here. Of course, last time I reviewed a book, we looked over The Two Towers, the second book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But in this one, The Return of the King, it's the end of everything. This book will determine if Sauron is either defeated or gains the entire power of Middle-earth. Will he win or will he lose? Let's read The Return of the King and find out. Welcome back to BG's Books. I'm Mr. BG, and today I will be reviewing The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. Of course, as I said, The Return of the King is the last book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, as well as the last book in Middle-earth in general. Yeah, I looked up kind of a whole thing for, like, every Middle-earth story in chronological order, and it all ends with Return of the King. So this is, like, the most important book in the entire universe, I guess. And I just gotta say, so this is a little bit of a spoiler, I think it's my favorite one of the trilogy. I know, kind of crazy, right? So anyway, of course, in true Lord of the Rings fashion, Return of the King picks up immediately where Two Towers left off. And this is just kind of the finale of everything. It has the biggest stakes, the biggest action set pieces, the biggest character moments. It has the biggest everything. And so, yeah, this book will truly determine on whether or not the ring is destroyed or not. So, yeah, pretty fun, right? I certainly had a fun time reading it. But anyway, to explain how everything goes down, I think it would be best to explain what the book is actually about. So, the first half of Return of the King picks up immediately where the first half of Two Towers left off, where Gandalf is riding with a newly restored Pippin to Minas Tirith to warn their King Denethor of an upcoming attack led by Sauron. And so, Denethor is kind of like, okay then, let's get ready. Meanwhile, Theoden of Rohan, he gathers up his army to aid Gandalf and the rest of Minas Tirith into battle. And so, anyway, the battle commences, you know, a bunch of battle stuff. And long story short, Faramir gets very wounded. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was like a poisoned arrow or something. Anyway, he's wounded and goes unconscious to seem dead, much like Frodo did at the end of Two Towers. And so, Denethor, having just completely lost his mind in despair by Sauron, he decides that he and his dead son should just go up in flames. And so Pippin realizes that Faramir is just wounded and is not dead. So he gathers Gandalf and then they go in, do some stuff, and they save Faramir, but Denethor allows himself to go up in flames. So there's that. Meanwhile, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, they go through these dead things, like this dead cave thing, and they have to get like these soldiers of Unbar or something. I don't remember what they're called. There's a lot of different like kingdoms and stuff. I'm sorry if I don't get every single one of them correct. Anyway, basically, these guys are ghosts, and they're ghosts because they are cursed by some sort of curse that says they cannot like rest or be dead until they fulfill the oath to defend the King of Gondor. So basically Aragorn convinces them to, and they decide to fight with him. So then, you know, there's a bit of a battle going on, and then Rohan and Aragorn and the Dead Army show up, and they just wipe the floor at Minas Tirith. Yeah, they win the Battle of Pelennor, and that. And also, Theoden's niece, Éowyn, she disguises herself as a man to join the battle, so a lot like Milan. And with the help of Merry, she takes down the Lord of the Nazgul. So that means the Nazgul are just kind of done now. Anyway, a lot of people are very wounded, and then Aragorn heals Faramir, Éowyn, and Merry. but Theoden has unfortunately passed in the battle, which is very unfortunate. But then Aragorn realizes that Sauron will be expecting Frodo to probably, end up getting the ring to Mount Doom by this time. So he decides that he's going to give Frodo some time by fighting his army at the Black Gate. So basically, he's going to distract Sauron by fighting his army to give Frodo enough time to destroy the ring, if that makes any sense. And so, of course, there's a giant battle and whatever, and then they're doing pretty good, but, of course, Sauron has a much larger army than Aragorn could ever have, and so they're very outnumbered. So now we're catching up with Frodo and Sam. So, of course, at the end, Sam realizes that Frodo is not dead, but is only unconscious and has been taken away by the orcs. So he basically just kind of goes his way through Cirith Ungol and stuff and rescues Frodo. But Frodo kind of lost his clothes, so they disguise themselves as orcs, and they make their way up to Mount Doom. And so Frodo, he's good for a while, but then he starts to fail. And he's like, I can't go on anymore, Sam. And then Sam says one of the best lines in the entire series. I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you. So he props Frodo on his back, and they go. Yeah, epic. So then anyway, Gollum reappears, who we thought had died at the end of the last book. Remember, Frodo kind of threw him off the edge or something. Anyway, so he attacks them, and then while Sam and Gollum are kind of going at it, Frodo makes it to Mount Doom, and then runs into the pit where he can throw the ring into the lava. So Sam goes after him, and then Frodo is just standing there, like he's contemplating on whether or not to actually throw the ring into the fire. And so Sam's like, destroy it. And then Frodo turns around and says, the ring is mine. Puts it on, disappears, and alerts Sauron to their location. The mission has been failed, okay? The mission has failed. Everything's going down. So now that Frodo's invisible, he's probably going to sneak back and stuff. But then Gollum just can't seem to let enough alone. So then he argues with Frodo, kind of jumps on his invisible back, bites off his finger, and gets the ring. And while he's celebrating, he loses his footing and falls over the edge, taking the ring with him. So now both Gollum is dead and the ring is destroyed. So Sauron is defeated. Sauron explodes, and of course his army kind of disintegrates because, he's kind of the only reason they're alive. And then Aragorn is victorious. Hooray! Aragorn and his army are victorious. So anyway, after all this, Frodo recovers for a little bit, meets up all of his friends, including Gandalf, who he now realizes is still alive. Don't worry about that sound. That wasn't important. Anyway, so Aragorn is now crowned King of Gondor, I think. Or Minas Tirith. Whatever. Aragorn is king of something, and he gets married to Arwen, that elf girl that he seemed to like. And then while Theoden is buried, his nephew Éomer becomes king of somewhere, either Minas Tirith or Gondor, like I said. Again, all these things are kind of blurring together. I can't tell which is which anymore, but you probably know what I'm talking about. And so everyone just lives happily ever after. The hobbits all say their goodbyes to their great friends, and they return to the Shire, where they find that the Shire has been overrun and destroyed by Sharky. Yeah, I know. Quite a stretch, right? So I guess this should be the time where I address that the book suffers the same problem as the movie did, which is the too many endings syndrome, where it just keeps going even though it really had a perfect ending to begin with. Anyway, so basically the Shire has been destroyed because it's been about 1.5 years since they left, and so since it's been undefended, it has just been taken over by this man named Sharky and just overrun and destroyed and whatever, like everything is gone. But so Merry and Pippin and Frodo and Sam rile up a resistance, and then they just take on the forces of Sharky. And when they go to Bag End, also known as Frodo's house, they find Sharky, who is actually Saruman. Yeah, so apparently Saruman has been the biggest threat this whole time. Anyway, long story short, Saruman tries to leave, but then Wormtongue, remember the guy from the last book, he slices Saruman right in the throat, and then he himself is killed by Hobbit archers. So hooray, Saruman and Wormtongue are dead! So, yeah. Anyway, so Frodo and Sam spend the next, like, however many years rebuilding the Shire. And then Sam also meets a girl named Rosie, and then they get married and start having a family and stuff. Again, don't worry about that sound that just happened. Anyway, so, yeah, everything is going well. But over the years, Frodo is starting to get more and more sick from being injured in that battle for the Shire that I just talked about. So, on Bilbo's 131st birthday, he goes down to the docks, and then Bilbo, and Gandalf set off on a ship for the Undying Lands, saying goodbye to Sam and Mary, because most likely he'll never see them again. But anyway, Sam returns home to his loving family. And that is how The Return of the King and Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth ends. So, what do I think of Return of the King overall? Well, as I said, I already love it so much, and I think it's my favorite of the entire trilogy. Although the entire trilogy itself is just fantastic. There is that problem with the ending, of course, the too many endings that the movie also decided to keep for some reason. But overall, The Return of the King is very solid. It's also the shortest of the three, so if you want like a quick, easy breeze through, it's pretty fast to get through. It's not that hard to understand either. I understood it pretty well, especially after whatever Two Towers was. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed Return of the King. And this also makes me want to read the rest of Tolkien's Middle-earth stuff. It's like the Silmarillion is one, then there's like Bethan and Lurien or something. And then there's like Unfinished Tales, that's another one. And then, you know, the list goes on. But anyway, so yeah, overall, I really enjoyed my journey into Tolkien's Middle-earth. As I said before, I'm not into fantasy anymore, so fantasy is definitely my least favorite genre. But Tolkien just like knew what he was doing. It is very easy to understand. It's not that complicated. So if you either hate fantasy like I do, or you don't really know where to start with fantasy, I'd say start with Tolkien, because Tolkien is like a beginner's guide to fantasy, if you will. It was like the modern day, like the first modern day fantasy thing, I guess you could say. So anyway, yeah, I really love the trilogy. I really love the series as a whole, and I will definitely want to return to Tolkien's world eventually. But anyway, yeah, please go read The Return of the King, and by extension, The Hobbit and the entire Rings trilogy, and Middle-earth, I guess. It is too good. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed my review for The Return of the King, as well as Tolkien's world in general. But yeah, as I said, I love Tolkien's work so much. It's definitely fantasy that I can get into, because I just cannot get into, like, hard fantasy or, like, romantasy or whatever it is nowadays. But anyway, yeah, so Tolkien's fantasy is definitely something I enjoy. So big thank you to him and his family for keeping the Lord of the Rings alive. And thank you to you guys for watching these videos and supporting me on my journey through Middle-earth. But yeah, that is the end of the video, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below if you have not already. And try to leave something like Lord of the Rings related in the comments. I love looking through them. But hey, anything books is fine by me. But yeah, as I said, that is the end of the video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want. I've been Mr. BG, and this has been BG's Books. And, you know, I just can't help but feeling that this journey that I've gone on has just showed me that this ring right here just isn't really good news. It's just kind of gotten me in trouble and whatever. So, I guess I'm just going to throw it into this volcano I'm standing over right now. Goodbye, ring. Wait a minute.